Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and it's the 17th of March, 2023. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, we had a lot of news actually over the last 24 hours, but I'm going to start off with the news that we have a mainnet date for Shanghai/Shapella here. So this was announced on the latest All Core Devs call. It is going to be happening on the 12th of April at 10:27 p.m. UTC time here. Now, that's just under a month from now, I guess like 25 days from today. So very, very close. And yeah, this upgrade obviously will be enabling staking withdrawals on the Ethereum mainnet. And I've been talking about how while it enables withdrawals for at the protocol level, the various staking providers are going to be enabling withdrawals at their own pace. I did mention that LiDAR is probably going to take about a month after Shapella goes live here, and then Coinbase is going to be doing it within 24 hours. I'm sure the other centralized exchanges will do that as well. Rocket Pool should have it ready from basically day one with their Atlas upgrade. Solo stakers obviously will be able to withdraw immediately, and yeah, the rewards are going to be being paid out there. Now, I think obviously there's a lot of discussion still around what's going to happen with the ETH that is staked, how many people are going to unstake, how many people are going to sell their rewards or sell their stake and all that sorts of stuff. I think at this point I'm convinced that there's not going to be that much stake that actually kind of gets withdrawn, and the validators actually just get withdrawn or get exited and the stake is sold. But I am definitely convinced that there's going to be a relatively large portion of the ETH rewards that are sold for tax purposes, because when you look at it and you see that you can just take, I guess, the 30% number of ETH rewards and say that that'll be sold for tax, that I think is about 300,000 or 400,000 ETH. Now, that's probably not going to get sold all at once. People are definitely going to probably hold on to those rewards, especially if the price is still going up like it has been over the past few days, thinking that they can sell it higher. And basically make more money that way, and cover their tax bill later, or maybe they want to cover their tax bill with money they already have. It just depends, right? We don't know for sure. It's kind of very hard to actually know because obviously everyone that's staking lives in different places around the world. They have different tax brackets. They have different tax structures. Some people will have their validators as part of retirement accounts. Some people will have them as part of trust. Some people will be in 0% tax jurisdictions. It just depends, right? Some people won't report their tax obligations, right? So it really depends, but there is definitely going to be a bunch of ETH sold for taxes. Now, whether that leads to downward pressure on the price of ETH, I don't really necessarily think so. I don't think that the market can't handle that sell pressure. And if the market knows that the sell pressure is coming from like a one-time event, which is those, rewards being sold to pay for taxes, then I don't think it's really going to be a bearish scenario there. But anyway, I'm not going to rehash all the things I've said in the past about this. I've talked about what I thought would happen with withdrawals a few months ago now, and I know you guys have all kind of seen me rant on about that, so I'm going to leave that one at that there. Now, of course, the Shapella mainnet date was not the only thing discussed on the All Core Devs call. There is a thread from Tim Byko for you to check out if you want to get the full details here. But I think that the biggest thing, or at least the most interesting thing for me, was that they're already working on putting together the EIPs that are going to be possibly included in the next network upgrade, which is called Cancun. Now, I've discussed this before and how I've said that this is due by the end of the year, hopefully, and EIP 4844 is already included in this upgrade. Now, there are a bunch of other EIPs here that may or may not be included, which you can check out. Some of the ones I've talked about before, such as self-destruct removal, the EOF EIP, that one that I believe Uniswap was trying to get into the Ethereum mainnet, but there's a bunch of others here that you can check out for yourself. Now, this list is current as of March 15th, so as of only a couple of days ago, and there's a lot of discussion in the Magician's thread here, which you can check out for yourself as well. But yeah, the only confirmed EIP that's included in Cancun so far is EIP 4844, but that does not mean that it's like 100% that it's going to be included. If 4844 is not ready in time for Cancun, then it obviously won't be included, but it doesn't seem like it won't be ready. I mean, people have been working on this for a while now. It seems like we're pretty much getting to the point where it will definitely be ready in time, and obviously that's going to be the biggest upgrade to the network that comes with Cancun. But anyway, you can check out these details for yourself. I'll link them in the YouTube description. And there's also Tim Byko's thread on the All Core Devs call, which you can check out. It'll also be linked in the YouTube description below. All right, so Vitalik put out a Reddit post just before actually talking about how he thinks about choosing guardians for multi-sigs and social recovery wallets. Now, Vitalik's been pretty open about how he basically, I guess, secures his funds, and he uses a multi-sig to do so. And the signers on that obviously need to be people that he trusts, people that are readily available in some kind of, I guess, period of time, people who are not going to just collude and obviously run off with his money, right? So for him, it's definitely something that he's thought a lot about, and that's why he put together this post, which I highly recommend giving a read. It's not too long, and there's also a bit of discussion in the comments as well, and he talks about how he does it and how he thinks about choosing guardians and social recovery in general. Now, of course, this is going to become more relevant, I think, as smart contract wallets and account abstraction generally becomes more and more of a thing over the next few months and next couple of years here. Choosing who you put on your social recovery or who you put on your multi-sig is going to be critically important. And this is something that I've thought about a lot as well personally. It's like, it really is. I mean, as I said, Vitalik goes through this in his post, but the way I think about it is that probably the biggest concern is who to trust, right? The other stuff, like, can you trust them not to lose their keys, or can you trust them to be readily available, is okay, right? I mean, that's not that big of a deal compared to trusting them not to collude with the other signers to run off with the funds. Let's put some hard numbers to this. Say you have like a 3 or 5 multi-sig, right? So you'll have 5 signers on there. Maybe you're 2 of those signers. You have a hardware wallet, 2 separate hardware wallets that are the signers, and then 3 other signers may be close friends and family. Now, can you trust those 3 other signers not to collude with each other to steal your funds? You probably not, right? But there are other ways to do these kind of multi-sigs as well, where, maybe I shouldn't say probably not, but it depends how paranoid you are. But there are other ways to do these things where you basically set it up so that it requires you to actually sign. So it can never be a thing where the other 3 can sign and steal your funds without you also signing on it. That also comes with its own risks. Just say maybe for some reason you've lost access to your keys and you need to get to your funds. Well, you can't do that if it requires you to actually have access to your keys, and it kind of, I guess, defeats the purpose a little bit of having a multi-sig for redundancy purposes as well. But yeah, I think everyone in their life has people that they can trust for these sorts of things, and I think the collusion risk is quite low for most people, but it really just depends, because at the end of the day, these people can actually see how much money you have as well on chain. If they're part of the multi-sig, they can actually see the balance. So for them, it kind of becomes a question of how much do I value this relationship. Now, of course, a lot of the time, the other parties on your multi-sig are going to be your very close friends and obviously close family members, but still, it is a concern. So anyway, enough of my rambling and ranting about that. You can read how Vitalik approaches this. I'll link it in the YouTube description below for you to do so. All right, so on to the biggest news of the last 24 hours, which was Arbitrum announcing finally their airdrop, or I guess like they announced their token and the airdrop of their token called ARB. Now, obviously you guys know that this was coming. There was no reality where Arbitrum, or really any layer 2, doesn't have their own token, but Arbitrum is obviously following in Optimism's footsteps here and in launching their token and it being a governance token, obviously airdropping it to users, but they haven't just launched a token. Of course, they've launched their governance process as well. I guess like how they're approaching governance for all the various Arbitrum networks. And what I found really interesting was that they're actually launching the ARB token on layer 1 Ethereum and not on their layer 2. Now, some people in the Discord channel were actually a bit confused by this and wondering why they would do this, considering that Optimism launched OP on their layer 2, where you can bridge it to layer 1. Well, it's because the ARB token is not only the governance token for the Arbitrum 1 network, it is also the governance token for the Arbitrum Nova network, alongside any other networks that launch and have the blessing of the Arbitrum Arbitrum DAO. So that's what the reason why they did it like that, because that means that the ARB token is officially, I guess, issued on Ethereum mainnet, and then it can be bridged to any of these other networks and work within these other networks. So hopefully that explains that one for you guys. But yeah, claiming for the airdrop doesn't begin until March 23rd. So as they say here, don't get scammed. Don't believe any websites telling you that you can claim your airdrop. The official website to check if you are eligible for an airdrop is arbitrum.foundation, which is also linked in the Twitter thread here for you to check out. And yeah, I mean, I think there was a bunch of criteria. The snapshot was taken last month, and you would get a certain amount of tokens, and people were wondering, what would be the valuation of the ARB token, and they were trying to work out how much their airdrop would be worth. And you can see some of those discussions in the Daily Gwei Discord channel if you would like to see them. But yeah, that's how you check your eligibility there. Now, of course, the ARB token was not the only thing that they announced. They also announced the Arbitrum Foundation, the DAO process, how they're thinking about upgrading the network, and how there's going to be a pretty big time delay of 21 to 37 days for upgrades, which makes a lot of sense, and how the DAO has the power to retire the existing Security Council, to further decentralize the Arbitrum One and other networks here. And they also announced another big piece of technology on top of the Arbitrum networks called Arbitrum ARB, which will allow developers to easily and permissionlessly launch their own Layer 3 blockchain in the Arbitrum ecosystem. And they continue here by saying, developers launching L3s on Arbitrum 1 and Nova are automatically granted a free and perpetual license, allowing them to use, modify, and customize Arbitrum's best-in-class technology for their L3 chains. And they continue, the Arbitrum DAO will have the ability to authorize additional Layer 2 chains on Ethereum, irrespective of whether the chain is governed by ARB, ensuring that the community is in full control over the future of Arbitrum and its technology. So as I said before, the Arbitrum DAO is where all these decisions are going to be made, there's going to be a lot of different kind of governance decisions made through that, that's for sure. But yeah, you can read this thread. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. There is a lot here. And there's also a, I guess, live stream that was done on Bankless if you want to learn more about all of this. But what a huge day for Arbitrum. What an exciting day for the Arbitrum ecosystem. As I said, this has been a long time coming. A lot of people have waited for this. And it really is just the beginning. There's the airdrop, and then there's a bunch of tokens allocated to the treasury, which will of course be distributed over time by the DAO to various parties within the Arbitrum ecosystem and be used to grow the Arbitrum ecosystem. But one thing that I'm really excited about when it comes to Arbitrum finally launching their token, and the fact that it's kind of a one and done airdrop, it's not like Optimism that's doing continuous airdrops, is that we're going to be able to see how much of Arbitrum's activity over the next few months is sticky, right? Is actually organic, and he's not just there farming an airdrop. The same was true for Optimism, I think, and we saw that play out. Now we can see it play out with Arbitrum, which is what I always love seeing. You guys know I love seeing this organic activity playing out and being able to see what's sustainable and what's not. And also I should mention, a really Chad move from the Arbitrum team here, or the Off-Chain Labs team, is that they're allocating a portion of the tokens to the Protocol Guild as well. So that's absolutely amazing, obviously, because they're donating towards public goods here. They're following in Optimism's footsteps, I guess, in that respect. So that was something that I really liked. I don't know what the exact percentage of tokens going towards the Protocol Guild is. I think I saw like 1% or something around that. I'm not totally sure what it is, but if it's 1%, that's a crazy amount of tokens going towards the Protocol Guild. As I said, I don't know if it's actually 1%, but just to give you an idea, there's 10 billion tokens. If it's 1%, that would be 100 million tokens going towards the Protocol Guild. And if the tokens are worth $1 each, that would be $100 million to the Protocol Guild. Now, again, just clarifying, I don't know the exact percentage here, but even if it's only 0.1%, that's $10 million at a $10 billion valuation that would be going to the Protocol Guild. So obviously, very, very cool to see there. But yeah, anyway, you can check out this thread from Arbitrum. I'm sure a lot of you have already read it, but check it out for yourself. You can check if you're eligible for the airdrop, of course, at arbitrum.foundation, and claiming begins on March 23rd. So please, please, please do not get scammed. Do not sign any transactions on sites claiming to be able to give you the airdrop. Please don't fall for any of that phishing stuff. It begins March 23rd at the official and only website at arbitrum.foundation, and all the links are on Arbitrum's official pages as well for you to check out. All right, speaking of layer twos, Eduardo from the Polygon zkEVM team here just tested Polygon zkEVM's zk Prover latest version on Google Cloud, and the results are much better than they expected here. So apparently they've got the cost down to about 4 to 5 cents per proof, which works out to 0.000084 cents per transaction. And then they said here, moreover, we kept our promises and we managed to proof batches under 2 minutes. So they're making a lot of strides here, obviously with the Polygon zkEVM launch coming up in just 10 days. This is critically important for them to do that, especially because I'm sure they want to move on to decentralizing out the provers and getting more people proving and getting those costs down as much as possible once the zkEVM is actually officially live. But this is great to see, and I'm really great that Eduardo is putting out these kind of updates here. You can see the last one was on Feb 10th that I reported on, and the cost at that time was about 6.5 cents per proof. Well, now it's down to about 4.5 cents per proof. So that is a pretty big improvement. I know it doesn't sound like much. It's about a 2-cent improvement, but in percentage terms, there I think it might be about 20%. Or more improvement there, and it used to be 0.0001 cents per transaction. Well, now it's obviously even lower than that, which is obviously amazing to see. So kudos to the Polygon zkEVM team for the work that they've done here. And finally, on the zkEVM front from Polygon, Polygon zkEVM is on Etherscan now. So there is an Etherscan-like block explorer for the Polygon zkEVM that is currently pointing to the testnet, but will of course be updated to point to mainnet once that goes live. As I said, in about 10 days from now on the 27th of March. Super exciting times here. Very much looking forward to it. I can't wait to see it go live. All right, so the Espresso Systems team today announced that they are building something called the Espresso Sequencer, which is the way they believe rollups will decentralize. So basically what this is a technical spec and I guess like a whole basically white paper on how they're approaching building this sequencer and how it can plug into basically any L2 on any chain. So essentially what could be done here is that Optimism or Arbitrum or Polygon or whoever else can come along and say, hey, okay, we want to decentralize our sequencer, but we don't want to build it ourselves. We don't want to build it from scratch ourselves because the work has already been done by Espresso Systems, so they're going to basically have the option to use this here. Now, I read through this post myself. It is really interesting. Espresso Systems has actually thought of a lot of the things that go into building a sequencer, not only from a decentralization perspective, but from a security perspective as well. They even cover things like how they're going to be doing fair ordering or MEV related things, how they can target resiliency and neutrality, how they can make it so that it's anti-monopoly, all these sorts of things. Like, as I said, this is a really, really great read if you're interested at all about how decentralized sequencing will actually work, because that is the next frontier, I think, for a lot of these L2s, is decentralizing out the sequencing, the validating, and the proving, but especially the sequencing, because whoever controls the sequencer controls the ordering of transactions, and obviously the ordering of transactions is critically important from an MEV perspective. So how do we build sequences that don't just centralize again? Like, how do we make these L2s as censorship resistant as possible so that we don't fall into the issue that we saw early on with the OFAC sanctions, how there was like, I don't know, 80-90% of, or I think it was 80% of all blocks that were being kind of censored because of that centralization around flashbots as an MEV boost relayer. Now, obviously, a lot of the work that's been done on layer 1 with MEV boost is going to translate to layer 2, but these sequences have to be designed in such a way that they can take advantage of that. And of course, I'm actually going to talk about the MEV boost stuff at the end of this episode, because there's some actually exciting stuff happening there. But yeah, as I said, definitely give this a read. It's very, very cool. It's a lot of innovation going on here, and it's something that I think that is going to be at the forefront of development for these L2s as time goes on. And it's something that I think that you should definitely learn about because it's going to be relevant for the foreseeable future. All right, so Succinct Labs here has introduced something called Telepathy, which is the first decentralized and secure zkSNARK interoperability protocol for Ethereum. So this apparently allows users, developers, whoever, to read Ethereum state on any chain with the security of Ethereum's Light Client protocol. And this is live on mainnet today. And they continue by saying, for the first time, Ethereum bridge security does not depend on a multi-sig or an optimistic fraud system. Instead, it directly verifies Ethereum validated signatures in a zkSNARK. Proof of consensus enables interoperability without a compromise. And then there's a blog post talking about all of this. Now, I don't have an explain like I'm 5 for this just yet. It is very gigabrain. It's not something that I have wrapped my head around just yet, but it is very interesting. I am going to try and learn as much as I can about this and try to get to a point where I can explain like I'm 5, but it's definitely something that I've heard about for quite a while now, and it's something that I think Vitalik himself has spoken about, using zkSNARKs for interoperability, for bridging, for being able to decentralize these things and not have to rely on multi-sigs and things like that. It's great to see that Succinct Labs has actually put out something that's live on the Ethereum mainnet today, and that actually supports 8 different chains right now. So I'm going to assume all of those 8 chains are EVM chains. I don't think they're all L2s. I think there are some side chains and L1s thrown in there as well. I don't actually know. If I go to the demo website, I may be able to see what chains they support. Just quickly looking here. No, I got there's an explorer here. You can see there is a demo website. Okay, yeah, I can see the networks that they support. So, okay, they're currently supporting Ethereum, Gnosis Chain, BNB Chain, Arbitrum Avalanche, Girly, Optimism, and Polygon, which makes sense because, as I said, it's all EVM chains. They're the easiest to support. But as I said, it's not all L2s. It's also other L1s and some side chains in here. But that, I guess, is pretty cool because it means that they're showcasing their technology as being able to be fully interoperable with different chains, not just L2s. So very, very cool to see this. But anyway, you can check out the blog post for yourself to learn more about this. I will be learning more about this as time goes on as well, so that I can explain like I'm 5 on this, but it's definitely something that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. All right, so POAP has announced POAP Drops, your new home for everything POAP. So basically, it's the home that allows you to easily create your own POAP without having to go through the old manual process. So it's pretty much all been automated now. So if you go to drops.poap.xyz, you can see the new interface here. So basically, you'll be able to sign in with an email address. I haven't signed in here yet, so I probably won't be able to show you it, but I think they have a thread showcasing it. Yeah, there's a GIF here showcasing what it is. So creating your POAP with an image, with a title, with a description, the standard stuff that you do, and then be able to have like all your POAPs in one nice interface that's tied to your email address, of course. And I think you can connect your Ethereum wallet to that as well. And then you can see here that there's different metrics that you can pay attention to as well, seeing how many people actually minted your POAP and how many people just reserved via email and things like that. And yeah, all the good stuff here. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight this because I think it's for a lot of people, it's been obviously a manual process to get POAPs kind of set up and created here. Well, now it's much more automated with a nice little interface that you can use on both desktop and mobile. And as I said, it is available at drops.poap.xyz. I'll link it in the YouTube description for you to check out. All right, an announcement out of the Sismo ecosystem today. They have soft launched something called zkConnect, which they're calling the Sovereign SSO or single sign-on. I think that's what that stands for there. So zkConnect equals anon authentication with selective data disclosure. So essentially, what this means is that, as I say here, with the power of zkConnect, devs can authenticate users privately. Apps access a unique user identifier called Vault ID and nothing more. The Vault ID is unique to the app, making doxing across apps impossible. This is the kind of stuff that I've been talking about as something that I believe to be revolutionary when it comes to zk technology that is not scalability. And I've talked about Sismo a bunch on the refill before and about the things that they enable, such as zk badges and how Those things allow for privacy and private voting and stuff like that. While with zkConnect, here are some I guess like use cases here. They say you can request private data with zk proofs. App developers can request granular and aggregated data from their users. So you can request proof of NFT ownership, GitHub repo contributions, ERC20 ownership, and proof of human registration from multiple wallets without linking them. How cool is that? Like, how many times have you guys had certain things on different wallets that aren't linked together, but you need to be able to prove to an app or prove to a protocol that you have them, and you just don't want to link those wallets together? Well, now you can do that. You can prove all that, and you can prove ownership of all of that without linking those wallets together through the power of zkConnect, which is obviously a very, very cool feature. But yeah, there is a demo live at demo.zksub.io. There's docs and there's a builders page as well, and this is a beta release right now. Obviously, it's not a full live mainnet release just yet, but you can check out the demo and the docs for yourself to learn more about this. It's all detailed here, but this is definitely very, very cool. This is the sort of stuff that's going to break out into the real world, I believe. Like, as I've said before, imagine having your own fully zk identity where you have all your data, you own all your data, and you can selectively choose who you share that data with. And then when you're sharing it with them, they don't necessarily have to even have access to the data itself. They just get like a zk proof that says, hey, this person is telling the truth, that they are who they say they are, but I'm not going to tell you how I can prove that. I'm just going to tell you that you can trust the proof, which is basically how this stuff works. And that's the kind of stuff that I think is going to be critically important for mass adoption of the zk privacy technology, and going to actually have real world impact outside of just scalability and I guess speculative things that we're all obviously very used to at this point in time. But anyway, I'll link this in the YouTube description below for you to check out. All right, so Sol Wallet has announced a $3 million funding round here from a bunch of investors. Now, of course, I should disclose that I am an investor in Sol Wallet. And for those of you who don't know what Sol Wallet is, they are a smart contract wallet working with ERC 4337, which has obviously been the talk of the town lately. Now, Sol Wallet is going to be focusing on layer 2 specifically. I believe they definitely want to make smart contract wallets as cheap and easy to use as possible, and the way to do that is at layer 2, of course. Now, you can read the thread here for a full breakdown of what they're focusing on, who their investors are, all that good stuff there, as well as the news coverage around this. But yeah, this falls into, I guess, like what Ryan, Sean, Adams said here, this wallet season that I've been talking a little bit about, where I basically said that there is definitely a renewed interest and a very strong push towards smart contract / account abstraction wallets, and making sure that we can actually develop these things and get funding behind them in order to get them live for users to play around with. And I've discussed before how smart contract wallets on layer 1 kind of failed to take off because of the gas costs. Like, it ended up costing, I think, $20, $30, $40, $50 to generate one of these wallets, which is a non-starter, because if you're a wallet and you say, and the user's creating a wallet and you're like, okay, well, before you even get started, you have to pay a $30 fee, that's a non-starter for users. So obviously at layer 2, those costs are collapsed, and post ERP 4844, they're going to be really, really cheap, and it can become a thing where essentially the wallet themselves will probably just cover it for their users, and basically onboard their users, create the wallet for them, and get them started without charging for it there. But yeah, anyway, as I said, I'll link Sol Wallet's thread in the YouTube description below. But congrats to them on the raise. They're a great team. I'm looking forward to what they built out. All right, so I should have talked about this before in the context of Polygon, but Sandeep here has shared a blog post from Polygon that details that the Polygon Avail data availability chain is actually being spun out of Polygon completely. So Polygon Avail is going to be a completely separate chain that is just going to be called Avail now. It is going to be essentially a direct competitor to things like Celestia, which are data availability chains, and it is not going to be under the Polygon umbrella anymore. I think this makes sense. I always felt like that Polygon Avail was a bit of a weird, I guess, thing that was part of the Polygon suite because of the fact that Polygon, I guess, went all in on zk stuff, where essentially having a separate data availability project probably distracted from that, because Polygon isn't really working on optimistic rollups anymore. They're just all in on their zk stuff. So it makes a lot of sense to spin out Avail here. Now, one of the co-founders of Polygon is actually going to be leading this project, Anurag here. He'll be leading this as Avail, and I believe, as I said, it's going to be a completely separate chain. It's not going to have anything to do with Polygon or Ethereum itself, and it's going to be a direct competitor to Celestia and other data availability chains. Now, of course, given that it's going to be a new chain, people were asking me, and I saw people asking on Twitter, is there going to be a new token for Polygon Avail? I would put my money on yes, just because you can't really kind of have a new chain like this without a token, unless Avail decides to go the eigenlayer route, where they basically use eigenlayers technology as their security, as a way to get, restaked ETH, securing their chain and things like that. But remains to be seen. I would put my money on them having a separate token for the Avail chain. So it might be something that you might want to farm if you're an airdrop farmer. Just giving the heads up there for people. But yeah, this is I think makes a lot of sense for Avail to be spun out here, and I'm curious to see on the path that they take going forward. Now, I did mention before I wanted to talk a bit about the MEV boost ecosystem in Ethereum and how it's changed over the past, 6 months. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time here because I'm already over time, but as you can see on my screen, I'm on the mevwatch.info website, and the total blocks that are OFAC compliant, it just keeps going down. So over the last day, we have 33% of all blocks are OFAC compliant right now. And now if we untick all blocks and we actually see what the MEV boost relayer ecosystem looks like, it's looking extremely healthy. It is not dominated by any one player anymore. And in fact, Flashbots is a minority player now, or quickly becoming a minority player. So you remember that Flashbots accounted for around 90% of all MEV boosted blocks in August/September of last year. Now it is only 23.5%. That is crazy, right? And you can see here that in terms of the diversity of relayers, we have on the non-censoring front, we have 3 major relayers: Ultrasound Money at 27%, Agnostic Boost at 17%, and Blockstrat Max Profit at 16%, with a bunch of other smaller ones. And on the censoring side, we have Flashbots at 23.5%, we have Block Native at 8.3%, and Blockstrat Regulated at 5.2%. So a very, very healthy mix here between censoring and non-censoring. And if we include all blocks, as I said, we're almost under 30% now of OFAC compliance, which is really, really great to see. And you can see this visualized here on this chart, along with the non-MEV boost as well, which seems to have just kind of petered out at about 10% of all blocks are not using MEV boost at all. And then the green is obviously non-OFAC compliant, and the red is OFAC compliant. This has come down from 80%. So we of all blocks were OFAC compliant. Now we're almost at below 30%. So obviously a huge win there. And then it's visualized here as the last 100 blocks as well. So just wanted to highlight that for you guys, that it's continuing to go down. It's just really awesome to see that all the work that the Ethereum ecosystem has done to get this percentage down as much as possible has worked. And it's really awesome to see that the relayer diversity has improved substantially. I'm still hoping to see more relayers come online. Right now, you could say that there is 4, 5 at most that are dominant. That's still not enough. I would love to see a lot more than that. But obviously, running a relayer is complex. It is not exactly profitable, and it's not exactly without its risks, especially legal risks, depending on where you are in the world. So yeah, I'm not sure how many more relayers we'll see come online, but the relay ecosystem is just a million times better than it has been traditionally. So I just wanted to highlight that for you guys, and I can't wait for this OFAC compliance to just keep going down. Once it's under 30%, I mean, I thought it would just stay around 30 to 40%, and that'd be okay too, but it just keeps going down, which is obviously awesome to see. But on that note, that's going to be it for today. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Or no, not tomorrow, on Monday. Thanks everyone.